Welcome to Construction Genius. And today we have a unique discussion lined up for you. Our guest is Robert Salvador, the CEO of DigiBuild, a frontrunner in digital construction technology. And today we will be exploring the realm of artificial intelligence, focusing on a tool known as ChatGPT. And no, it's not just for your kids writing their papers. It is a technology that you can use in your construction business. Our conversation is going to cover the ins and outs of ChatGPT, what it is, its significance, and how to leverage it in practical ways, all the way from business development to estimating, pre-construction, project management, a variety of different use cases that we're going to discuss. We're not going to shy away from its limitations, and we're aiming to provide you with an introductory understanding into ChatGPT. And we're going to give you some concrete steps at the end to make this technology work for your company. With Robert's expertise, we're set to traverse the exciting landscape of AI in construction. Let's dive in to this fascinating conversation. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Robert, welcome back to Construction Genius.
Eric, happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, and we're just going to dive right in. We're going to talk about ChatGPT today. And before the audience goes away, don't worry, this is going to be very, very relevant to the construction industry. So I just want to dive right in. Treat me like a fifth grader who knows nothing about ChatGPT. Tell me, please, what is ChatGPT?
So ChatGPT is what's called an LLM, a large language model, and it is probably the most sophisticated one that's ever come out. Its parent company is a company called OpenAI, probably the biggest and most technically advanced AI company out there. And basically, ChatGPT is a front-end user interface, or basically just a chat box, just kind of like it sounds like, where you can interact with the underlying large language model. That basically means you can chat with artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence has the ability to recognize your speech patterns. So normally, in order to engage with any sort of artificial intelligence, it takes a bunch of very complicated knowledge and the ability to code and do all these different things. Well, what makes ChatGPT special is the fact that it can kind of understand you, it can talk to you. So it allows very unsophisticated users to harness the power of artificial intelligence. So basically, ChatGPT is this artificial intelligence that came out that individuals are using for anything and everything. As you mentioned, things in construction, into things in their college papers. This artificial intelligence is writing papers for people. So we'll get into the use cases of what ChatGPT and AI in general can do in construction, but it really is a breakthrough in artificial intelligence that we haven't seen in our lifetimes.
So I think it's important because you just mentioned people writing papers. I know my kids use ChatGPT, or at least they say they don't, but I know they do. And so we've heard about all those use cases, but I'm a construction executive. I run a construction company. Why is ChatGPT important for construction?
Sure. So in our industry, there's so many different workflows and so many different things that I would consider time sucks, or things that take away our project team's bandwidth. A typical construction project, as a large one, will create over 700,000 documents. So doing all the things you have to do to manage those, emailing suppliers, looking on the internet for substitutions for certain material, trying to locate logistics or lead time information, crunching all that information is very difficult. And as people, we have a very limited ability to gather that data. You can only Google things, so many things in 30 minutes. Well, what artificial intelligence can do is gather all that data, look at all that data, and pattern match all of that data in a split second. So think about a situation where you might be, we'll talk about what we do at DigiBuild, where you're trying to get a quote from a material supplier. Well, instead of you having to manually send an email and make a phone call, which might take you 15 minutes, and you get contact with one, maybe two suppliers, in the click of a button, artificial intelligence can reach out to 100 suppliers. And it can do it in an intelligent way. Again, these are learning models. So the artificial intelligence can say, okay, I've read all about these building material supplies and all these supply chain information and all these supply chain specifications. Now, as the artificial intelligence, I understand it. So before artificial intelligence and before things like ChatGPT, yeah, there was tools out there, but you can't go into your CRM and say, hey, reach out with a custom message to all these different people in a different way. Like the automation's just not there. The software doesn't understand you. It's just kind of a piece of dead software. Whereas with artificial intelligence, the software learns. So as you say, hey, this is Type X drywall, and these are the vendors that typically provide Type X drywall, and this is what Type X drywall does on a construction project. Now, the artificial intelligence starts to learn that, and it can scan the internet and say, okay, Type X drywall. Well, I know Georgia Pacific makes that. And did you know that Armstrong also makes that too? And so now it can start telling you intelligent insights like, hey, builder, instead of getting your Type X drywall from Georgia Pacific, you can get an equivalent from Armstrong for 10% less. So the real magic in what artificial intelligence can do in construction is it can learn all of these industry-specific pieces of knowledge and information and apply that to our industry. Whereas before, you kind of had to build a specific tool for a specific thing. Well, now artificial intelligence, if you feed it enough of this data, it can learn by itself. So it can start to say, hey, I suggest this substitution. And it can look at 100,000 different data points that would take a human years or a long time to look at that same data. So if you apply that to all the different things that we do in construction and construction management, you can see all of these pieces of busy work, the office work, the project manager work, the project engineer work. You can certainly make that much more efficient and much more effective. And that's why people are excited about ChatGPT in construction.
Okay, so let's explore this a little bit more. In interacting with ChatGPT, there's a couple of issues that people have. The first one is, how do I know that the answers are correct? And the second one is, how do I develop prompts that get the information that I want? Because in my experience, the quality of the prompt drives much of the quality of the information. So first, speak to that idea of how do I even know that this information is correct? And then speak to the idea of the quality of the prompts, please.
And I'll take that in reverse because one plays into the other. So let's talk about the quality of the prompt first, because that will play into the effectiveness, as you mentioned, of the information that you get or how accurate it is. So quality of the prompt is everything. Because one of the things that, if you're not that familiar with artificial intelligence, it's easy to just think like this is some human on the other side who thinks and has cognition in the same way you and I do. And that isn't the case. Artificial intelligence right now really is pattern matching. Without going too deep, at the end of the day, if you want to think about it and abstract it really far back, there is just insane pattern matching that happens with artificial intelligence. It's taking data from this side of the internet, putting it next to this side of the internet, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of information that you wouldn't have found before. So prompting it properly is everything because, again, the AI doesn't understand, like it doesn't reason like you and I do. It just pattern matches. So one of the things we tend to do is, first and foremost, there's tons of good resources out there on how to prompt properly. If you're going to use ChatGPT, you should look at that because you want to be able to do it the right way. One of the ways that, kind of just really quickly, that is a good practice is to start small and then add more. So one example of the way we use it in construction, for example, and someone can do this at home, is you can go into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT how you want it to act, who you want it to pretend to be. So you go in there and say, ChatGPT, I want you to act like a construction manager and procurement manager with 20 years of experience on big commercial construction projects, managing supply chain and all the building materials and all these different things.
Hold on a second. So you're putting that in the prompt at the very beginning?
Yes, because that locks in ChatGPT to a certain pieces of information on the internet, right? Now ChatGPT is only looking for words that have like building materials, supply chain, all of those things. Because you don't want ChatGPT looking at tennis right now. You don't need that information. You want building material and supply chain information. So prompting it up front to focus on that puts it in that like ballpark, in that range of information you're going to be looking for.
How narrow should you be in the parameters that you give ChatGPT?
Yeah, so I would say you want to start broad and then drill down as much as it makes sense. Absolutely. So start with just the industry, right? So we tell ChatGPT, I want you to act as an expert in construction management and supply chain. Then let's say maybe we are trying to get the lead times on some, maybe not lead times, let's get some substitutions for building materials. So then you might say, okay, now more specifically, ChatGPT, I want you to focus on drywall. I want you to focus on Division 9, workflows in construction. And then you can tee up some specific areas that ChatGPT might look for good information. So I would say, ChatGPT, check engineering news record as one source of information. Check Built Worlds. Check the Construction Genius podcast. These are some examples of places you might find good information. And then I would say, okay, ChatGPT, tell me you understand this, and then hold for more instructions. And then ChatGPT would say, got it. Now I'm starting to look in these certain areas. I'm waiting for more instructions. Then I would drill down more. I'd say, okay, here's what I'm looking for. Here's how I want to get it. So ChatGPT, I'm looking for a type of drywall that is a bit more rare. It's called type C drywall. And I want to know on my commercial construction project some other types of material that I can use that have similar qualities as type C drywall. Go out and find me some vendors and or material types that might meet the specifications that I need. That we're 3 rows deep, right? We told them who you are. We told them where they should look for something. And now we told ChatGPT kind of exactly what I'm looking for more specifically. And then ChatGPT would return 10 different suppliers of or suggestions for alternative substitutions or material types for that material. Then when you get that information back, you can drill down even more. No, ChatGPT, you told me type X drywall. I asked for type C. Let's try that again. So it's also important to kind of use your expertise to make sure that ChatGPT is providing relevant information. But once it starts to provide that info, you can just specify more and more and more. And that's the thing of an LLM. Like a learning model, because it's going to learn as you tell it more things. So AI goes, oh, I messed that up. And you just told me why I messed it up. Now I understand more and I won't mess it up next time. And so by the end of the prompt, and we do this at DigiBuild, we do it on a more automated way, but you can do this through the chat box with ChatGPT. By the end of this, it's given you 10 different alternatives or substitutions that going into the second part of your question, which is how do you know this information is correct? Now you can take these 10 vendors and spend the extra 5 minutes to Google them just to make sure they're actually relevant vendors of type C drywall, or call it yourself. So that's where a lot of people say are worried about artificial intelligence replacing jobs. No, artificial intelligence will empower people to do their jobs better. Those project managers aren't getting replaced. Instead, ChatGPT just did all the hard work. Now they can do a quick Google search to make sure all that information is relevant. So we like to say at DigiBuild that we use AI to empower, not to replace.
Yeah, so I think it's really important for people to understand that I could just see someone who runs a construction company, oh yeah, ChatGPT, let me give it to the marketing intern to take a look at. Maybe we'll come up with something. And the marketing intern, they may know how to use it, but they don't have the years and years of experience to actually make it useful. So if you want to really exploit ChatGPT, it's going to be based on the quality of the prompts that you give it and the sophistication of the person using the tool in terms of being able to filter the information that it brings back and pick out what's right and maybe discard what isn't right.
And again, realize that like ChatGPT is very smart. So even if the person using it isn't good with technology, as long as their information is good. So like think a superintendent in the field, right? Like, yeah, they're using the ChatGPT app, which you would never expect, but they might not be great with prompts yet. They might not be great with tech, but they know the information. They know their material like no other. So ChatGPT is good at deciphering some of that. So even if the end user is imperfect, as long as the information is like somewhat close to what it should be, it can typically differentiate, or you can help it to find you what you're looking for.
So let's take a use case scenario. Let's say I have a specific project, and I've just handed it off to the project manager. This project manager is sophisticated. They're able to interact with the technology and all that kind of stuff. Can I set up ChatGPT to help me run the project through the whole cycle of the project? And if that's the case, how would I do that?
Absolutely. I think the way we look at things like artificial intelligence in the future of construction is AI will be a digital project manager that helps your real project managers, right? Think of it as having like an angel on your shoulder when you're managing a job, where you can say, hey, I don't have time to go do this. Digital project manager, go do this for me, or get me this information really quickly so I don't have to waste my time finding it. To your question, absolutely. eventually, and part of what we're doing at DigiBuild with the supply chain side of things is eventually these models will be trained specifically on construction, right? So think about if we give all of these millions of pieces of data to ChatGPT. Like, you have to realize the sophistication of this. You can upload specs, blueprints, things that, like, if you just copy and pasted it anywhere else in the world, like, the software wouldn't understand. Artificial intelligence understands it. Like, I've taken email strings in construction with no prompt at all, other than to say, hey, help me decipher this email string. And it's an email string between a GC and a sub, and those can be large, big arguments, all that. Copy and paste it in the ChatGPT, and it was able to differentiate and tell me what happened in that entire conversation. It looks like general contractor A is claiming that subcontractor B's change order is not valid because of this contractual contract clause, and our recommendation is for subcontractor B to respond in this way.
This is fundamental in terms of how you can use this in practical ways. So you're in a pinch, you're in a bind, you've got that email chain that you just described. I'm a project manager. I'm going into a negotiation for a change order. He said, she said, all the details. Take that email chain, throw it into ChatGPT, ask it for, give me the top 10 takeaways from this email chain. I need to prepare, and then give it the prompt. I need to prepare for a change order negotiation. Please give me my 3 strongest points and the 3 strongest rebuttals that the person I'm negotiating with is going to come back with. And then I can role play with my team and get ready for that change order negotiation.
Exactly. And your contract into the language model too, right? So you can combine the email string I just sent you with, hey, here's our contract with the GC. Now, again, you don't want AI to do legal work for you, of course, like you still need a lawyer and all this. But just as a filter, it can say, yeah, based on that email string, clause number 3.21 was breached. They didn't give you proper 48-hour notice before terminating you, whatever. And yes, and if you think about the fundamentals of how is that valuable, imagine you didn't have ChatGPT. How would you do this in a general contractor's organization or a subcontractor? 5 of you from the project, plus your legal team, plus a VP would have to sit around a table for 3 hours. And eventually, after 3 hours, you would get half of the information that ChatGPT just gave you in a second. So that is how, going back to your point, you can train ChatGPT on construction-specific workflows where throughout the course of the project, it can be suggesting things like this. It can say, hey, based on the schedule you just gave me, it looks like your plumber really lags behind every 3 months. Here's a suggestion for changing your schedule to make it more optimal. Or again, put in a subcontractor's pre-qualification information and then go, hey, ChatGPT, based on these lists and based on these places on the internet that show really good subcontractors, give me a compare and contrast of this subcontractor that we're pre-qualifying with a top tier subcontractor out there like Anning Johnson or something. So to your point, that is how you can train these models to recognize and understand construction workflows. So again, at DigiBuild, we specifically do that in supply chain. So we have the largest material and material supplier database in the industry. Now think about hundreds of thousands of suppliers, right? And material types and all this. How AI can crunch that data around pricing, lead time, substitution, schedule clashes, much more effectively and more efficiently than any human can do on their own. And that's where, when you turn that into a product for the construction industry, it ends up being so powerful. And that's, obviously what we do for our customers.
Let me ask you, I know one of the things that is increasing, this is exponentially increasing in the ChatGPT world, is the use of plugins. And can you explain that a little bit to the audience? Because there's the basic ChatGPT interface, but then there's also this plugin aspect to it as well. Can you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, so ChatGPT right now, it's just a language model, right? So it's, like I said earlier, it's not understanding logic and cognition the way you and I do. It's just matching words together, essentially. Like, as smart as it seems, and it is incredibly smart, it really is just pattern matching words. So it's limited by the words. I can't upload like a video or something like that or some media into ChatGPT. But with the plugins that are coming out, now I can upload an image and ChatGPT can interact with it. Or there's one that's come out called Auto GPT. Essentially, if you've seen the movie The Matrix, you remember there's those agents, the bad guys, who they're a computer program, and their only goal is to destroy Neo, the main character of The Matrix. Essentially, they have these Auto GPT agents now, where you create these agents and you give them a goal. And they don't stop until they reach that goal. So you would create one of the plugins that's available is you could create this agent and you could say, hey, I want every construction contractor's social media information so I can get to them on social media. This artificial intelligence agent will start doing things and will not stop until it gets you all of that information. So it will automatically scrape the internet for all of that data. It'll automatically do all these different things. So there is a ton of plugins that allow you to do much more with artificial intelligence. It allows you to make AI movies. I'm not sure you may have heard the popular rapper Drake. There's an AI Drake song that came out. And if you listen to it, it's called Winter's Cold or something like that. And if you listen to this, you're like, oh my God, that's Drake. That is the rapper. And it's not. It was made by artificial intelligence. So that's where these plugins, in the same way in construction, we integrate with other software like Procore integrates with DigiBuild, whatever. Now you're starting to get these integrations where you can build on top of this powerful AI model. And that's what will allow you to do things like, again, build these agents specifically for construction, right? Imagine building an agent saying, do not stop until you get me the world's best price on blow-in insulation. And this thing will literally just reach out to people and do all these different things and won't stop until it has that information. So yeah, the AI is just getting started, and some of these plugins are starting to show the incredible potential and many different use cases of AI and these language models.
Are you guys at DigiBuild thinking of building a plugin for what you guys offer?
So we work through a plugin on top of ChatGPT, and we integrate with ChatGPT because, so I meant to say it earlier, there's two ways to use ChatGPT, right? One is just like talking to it, like we're talking about, prompting it on your own. The other way is actually training a model on top of ChatGPT, which is obviously much more difficult, but it's much more powerful. So yes, we're training a model. So every day we're plugging in thousands of different material types, thousands of different situations on a construction site. And slowly this model is learning. So instead of us as construction managers having to be like, okay, the solution right now, so I'll give you a specific example. We located these Google Nest thermostats, or this project was spec'd these Google Nest thermostats. Well, they don't make them anymore. So we plug this into ChatGPT. Before, like 4 or 5, or a couple of us would have to go online, look for substitutions, see what's an equivalent, blah, blah, blah. Well, now that ChatGPT is learning all this, instantly it goes, nope, here's 5 equivalent material types that you can take to the architect and tell them, yeah, you can order this instead. Oh, by the way, it's cheaper and it'll get there faster too. So yes, point is we are building on top of some of these API and API integrations. And this is foundational. Like this isn't some cool tool. Bill Gates said it when ChatGPT first came out. This isn't just some amazing tool. Like this is a foundational change in the way business will get done because there's just no way to beat this. Like spreadsheets versus AI, there's just no way to win. And eventually, even if, as I said, we're not going to get rid of our employees in construction, but this will empower everyone to do things in such a more efficient way that eventually it'll be a big disadvantage if you're not using AI.
So let's say I'm a large general contractor and I want to codify an accessible way, the way we run projects and the type of subs that we want to work with. Do you see someone in-house for them, maybe someone externally, but also someone in-house perhaps doing that model training on a particular process or a particular project so that you're tapping into the AI and using it to make things more efficient and more productive?
Oh, yeah. The use cases of AI span the construction project lifecycle from pre-con to early development, to course of construction, even to turnover. So in your specific scenario there, absolutely. Because right now, what's pre-qualification for most companies? There's 1 or 2 people in a risk department, and they send you out this piece of paper that says, okay, give me all of your basic information, give me your references, give me your past job history. If they're really sophisticated, they ask for your finances, right? And then 1 or 2 people in the risk department go through the paperwork and they look for all these things. Eventually, you could just plug 100 of those prequals into ChatGPT, train the model, and then when you get a prequal in, ChatGPT just looks at it and goes, yeah, Section 7, their finances they don't look strong enough on their finances. Or Section 9, the biggest project they've done is only 100,000 square feet. And for the project they're bidding, it's 250,000 square feet. That makes them risky. So yes, there comes a point where kind of like a fantasy football draft, right? Like you're the user, you're still drafting your team, but you have all this information in front of you in a very easy screen and it's already been classified and told you what's relevant, right? When you draft a fantasy football player, it goes, hey, Patrick Mahomes is great at throwing touchdowns. So if you're looking for someone who throws a lot of touchdowns, that's who you should draft. Same thing with a subcontractor. Hey, ChatGPT has identified that this one is high risk, but they're low price. So you as the project manager can decide if you want to draft them or not. So think about that at scale in a construction company, both the savings in cost, in staff time, and then in risk, because you standardized it. And then you get both the benefits of artificial intelligence looking at it and the benefits of a human construction manager or risk manager looking at it. So yeah, things like that across the office, across the spectrum will be made better by AI and ChatGPT.
Let's dive a little bit more into a use to just kind of role play it out. Let's say I'm a hard bid, heavy civil contractor. And so I've got to make sure that my takeoff is on point when I'm doing some estimating and all that kind of good stuff. How would I use ChatGPT either now or in the near future in terms of a scenario like that?
So first and foremost, let's assume that you've already trained a model a little bit and you've been using ChatGPT a little bit, like you're not brand new, right? So first and foremost, as you are in estimating and even pre-con, you can use ChatGPT to look at the risks and compare them to previous projects. ChatGPT can say, hey, this is a very similar project to what you did last year on this job, and you went 10% over budget on this line item, so make sure you account for that on this future project, right? So it can use past data really effectively to say, hey, here's a risk, here's a risk, here's a risk. Then you can get into pre-construction. Okay, ChatGPT, here's our material quantity takeoff, here's what we need. Go to 100 suppliers right now and get me pricing from all of them. And also, when you get that pricing back, I want you to do your best to drive down all of their pricing at least 10% more. So with the click of a button, ChatGPT can do that, right? It can reach out to 100 material suppliers and even respond, right? Like material supplier goes, hello, DigiBuild. They think they're talking to a person. No, it's ChatGPT they're talking to. Sure, can you specify something? ChatGPT might be able to do it. Maybe you need a project manager to help, but either way. So now with the click of a button, you've got 100 quotes in. You've driven down that pricing. Now you have the guaranteed best price. Also, what ChatGPT can do is identify bulk buying opportunities. It might say, hey, you might not realize it, but you're doing pavement. You're doing 3 pavement projects within 50 miles of each other. Did you know if you bulk bought all the material right now from this manufacturer or this wholesaler, you'd save 40%. So right there, you've got all your best material pricing. Then ChatGPT can say, okay, give me your job schedule. Now I have your job schedule. I have the lead times on these materials because we just got quotes from them. Now we can tell you when you need to order all of this material by. So some of your rebar for, let's say that's a 120-day lead time. Hey, make sure you order that by May 1st to get it there in August. And then it can notify you, hey, it's May 1st, order your material. And so now, just literally in the click of a button, I know I'm talking a lot about it, but this is all one click or 2 clicks of a button. You've just got all of your risk from previous projects. You've gotten the best material pricing. You know when you need to order this stuff by. Oh, shoot, one of these materials is no longer available, or it's a 200-week lead time. Now I can go in there and ask for a substitution. Hey, I'm screwed. What are some options that I can do? ChatGPT will say, hey, try this equivalent from whatever brand. Then you go through the course of construction, order your material, blah, blah, blah. Get all this data, crunch it. Now you have insights for your next project. So it gets much bigger than that, but that's just a really quick and easy way that civil contractor could be using it.
So let's just talk real quick about some of the limitations of ChatGPT, because again, I think it's important for people to understand that this is not like NFTs, right? This is not like last year's NFTs. This is stuff that you can actually use right now in your business, and it's not hype and it's not going away. So tell us the limitations, Robert, at least at the moment, or perhaps even long term when it comes to using ChatGPT or similar type tools.
So, first and foremost, I'm sure you've seen that meme that's making its way around the internet and LinkedIn and Twitter, that it's a big building, and on the side of it, it says ChatGPT cannot finish this building or build this building, right? And that's true, right? Like, so the first limitation is this is data extrapolation, essentially. No, it cannot build your building for you. So anything that's in the physical world, it cannot do for you. It can help you with the digital elements that go along with that physical world, but that's the obvious part, right? Like maybe in the future we put artificial intelligence in robots and then maybe things change, but as of right now, there is a clear distinction between the physical world and the data world. Second thing is ChatGPT is still insulated to its own program, meaning when I say ChatGPT can send an email for you, yes, if you build out a plugin to an email service where it can send those emails, right? ChatGPT by itself cannot access Gmail or cannot upload computer code to GitHub, right? So it's still a program that's insulated by itself, and you have to connect it to other things in order to get it to do more than just, give you information. So there is still some technical sophistication that has to be there to connect it to these other programs to make it more useful. Another one, again, is, like you said earlier, making sure that information is correct, right? Like there's a lot of things on the internet that are not correct. And again, ChatGPT is just pattern matching. So it doesn't know if it picks up some information that is not valid or accurate. Maybe it pulled something from a bad website that has bad information. So the info isn't always accurate. And then also, I would say, you may have heard, there are some things called hallucinations in artificial intelligence where the AI thinks it has good data, but it actually kind of just has a glitch, basically, and didn't give good data. So I think that's also why it's still important to double check your data, double check the sources you're getting it from. So yeah, ChatGPT is not perfect yet. Make no mistake, artificial intelligence, we're in the first quarter of the artificial intelligence game. By the fourth quarter, by the end of the game, it will be unrecognizable, the things it's able to do. But right now, it's still definitely early and still definitely not perfect. So like any new technology, you just want to be careful to manage those risks and make sure you're doing what you need to do to mitigate them.
Okay, so let's get real practical down to brass tacks then in terms of managing those risks. Let's assume it's not going anywhere. It's getting more sophisticated. It's here to stay. I'm a construction company owner and I'm thinking about, dude, I got a project right in front of me. I don't have time to think about this ChatGPT stuff, but I know it's here. What are 2 or 3 practical steps I can take right away to begin to think about integrating this into my business to one degree or another?
One is, and I guess it's the easy way, companies are introducing construction software and construction technology anyways through third parties, right? Like that's already been happening before ChatGPT. Procore, a DigiBuild, and Autodesk, all those different things. So the easiest way is to work with companies that specialize in software for construction and they use artificial intelligence in their product. Because then you don't really have to worry about training your whole team on it. You just have them use software or something like that. So that's the easy way. And we have, obviously, that's what our customers do. The back end is super powerful using all this crazy technology, but the front end is super easy and gives them these crazy results, cost savings, risk reduction, schedule improvements. So one way is just to use software and companies that specialize in this stuff. But if you're looking to individually or within your own company introduce something like ChatGPT, I would say find a project champion or find a champion of some sort in your company who's good at tech, who will go out and do some research on their own, who will identify, okay, on my projects, good low-hanging fruit to start with is, hey, maybe I just upload my contract into ChatGPT and I tell, hey, ChatGPT, act as a legal expert in construction in the state of Florida and break down this contract into the 20 most important bullet points, right? That's easy. And again, disclaimer, your legal team should always be looking at this, but it's an easy way to see like, okay, this is how some of the things I can do with ChatGPT. So now instead of a 200-page contract, as a project manager, you're trying to adhere to the contract and administer the contract. Now you have 50 bullet points that you could say, okay, this is what these sections mean. So yeah, I would say pick some small workflows, small use cases, get a champion within your organization and have them start to build out and try these things on projects in a very low risk way, right? There's no risk of having ChatGPT look at your payment terms and say, okay, what's the best way to administer this or whatever? That might be a bad example. And then lastly, there's a lot of cool like lunch and learn things you can do nowadays. Have a half hour where you bring in tamales or something for the team. We love doing this. And for a half hour, we all just look at ChatGPT and figure out use cases and how to use it and how to work with it. Ends up being a fun little thing that the team can do.
Yes, I really like that as well. It's like nobody's saying here that ChatGPT is going to run your projects for you or anything like that. It's an additional tool that if it's used correctly and if you learn how to use it, it can have a tremendous positive impact. Let me just ask you one last thing, Robert. So is ChatGPT going to take over the world and kill us all?
No, ChatGPT will not. However, so now the bigger question around artificial intelligence, it's important to see both sides, right? Like the things we're going to do as far as like curing cancer, even figuring out science and biology, like think about pattern matching that just we'll never figure out, right? AI is going to change the world in that scenario. But yes, Eventually, people fear AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, where this thing is thinking like we do. And going back to that, the agent thing I mentioned, if an AI's specific goal is to make the world a better place, right? Would they look at humans and say, you guys are killing the world? Actually, I need to get rid of you all. That's kind of the Terminator fear from the Terminator movies. So no, not anytime soon. It's not going to. ChatGPT is nowhere near effective enough or efficient enough. Sam Altman, for the CEO of OpenAI, was recently on a podcast talking about that. But eventually, in 5, 7, 10 years, 20 years, who knows where we'll be? So it is something to think about in being ethical and being safe with new technology. But that's the thing with any technology, right? As we get bigger and we scale the universe and society more, we just have to be responsible. So AI will be similar with that, but we should definitely be cognizant of both the good and the bad.
That's excellent. So, Robert, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate it. Tell us a little bit more about DigiBuild, and again, speak to how you guys are using artificial intelligence in the way that you're running your business and helping your customers.
Sure, yeah. So DigiBuild's a supply chain leader. We help companies in the supply chain to procure their building materials, anything supply chain related. So we'll help them get better material pricing. We'll help them keep their schedules on point, automate parts of the supply chain. So we work with subcontractors, general contractors, real estate developers, really anyone who's procuring building material. And as I said, we can get them way better pricing because artificial intelligence reaches out to a much wider scale. We can tell everyone, hey, you might not be thinking about the lead time on this item from 9 months out, but artificial intelligence is, and you need to order it soon because it's a 10-month lead time. So basically, we help to improve the budget, schedules, reduce risk on these projects in a really simple way. Like I said earlier, we use all this crazy, powerful back-end technology, but on the front end, it's very simple. It's easy to consume for construction managers. So yeah, anyone who's having problems with their supply chain or procuring building material, DigiBuild can definitely help. And we do that with a lot of companies.
Excellent. And how can people get in touch with you, Robert?
Sure. You can visit us at digibuild.com, request a demo, and we'll reach out, or feel free to send an email to info@digibuild.com. We'll reach out, get on a demo call, kind of show you how the magic works and show the savings and the ROI that we give to our customers.
Excellent. And just one last question. Is there any course or any place that you would recommend someone goes to get some prompt training? Anything there?
So both Twitter and YouTube are great places to go. I don't have specific ones like off the top of my head. I'm sure happy to follow up with some for you if you want some links. But yeah, honestly, just YouTube and Twitter. There's so much out there right now, just searching like ChatGPT prompt engineering. And another one, I told one of the biggest construction general contractors this, we were on a call a few weeks ago. He was like, hey, where does this lead as far as personnel? Like, where's this going to go? I believe there will be, in many industries, but especially construction, there's going to be a new job type created called ChatGPT prompt engineer. Because if you can master ChatGPT, you can do things throughout the organization. Yeah, I can help you in estimating. Yeah, I can help you in course of construction stuff. Yeah, I can help you in even random code debugging. You can copy and paste computer code into ChatGPT, and it will tell you what's wrong with the code or decipher the code for you. Say, hey, this is what this does. So point is, there is going to be a employee position called ChatGPT engineer. And I was just telling an ENR 400 general contractor, they should start preparing that right now because that will put them way ahead of the game.
Yeah, so I want to endorse that. You're going to have a prompt engineer in business development, in estimating, in project management. You're going to have prompt engineers all over the place in your business at some point here. I just want to endorse that statement with a stamp.
Absolutely, yeah.
Robert, thank you for coming on. I love talking about this kind of stuff. I do think this is legit stuff that's going to change the industry. And I want to encourage each one of my listeners to spend some time looking at both the benefits and the limitations of artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. It is going to be well worth your time. And Robert, thank you for joining us here today on Construction Genius.
Thanks, Eric. Always a pleasure, and really appreciate what you're doing, getting the message for technology into the industry and being a leader in general in everything you do in construction. So always a pleasure to talk to you, and keep up the good work yourself.
Right on.
Awesome.
Hope you're enjoying my conversation today with Robert. And this is a quick break to let you know again, Construction Genius, the book, effective, hands-on, practical, simple, no BS, leadership, strategy, sales, and marketing advice for construction companies. This book is a banger. You need to go out to Amazon and purchase copies for you and your entire leadership team. And here is an incredible bonus. If you purchase 10 or more copies of the book, you contact me directly, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I will do a Zoom meeting for your leadership team, doing a question and answer session on the content of the book and also a bonus training session. That's going to be a 60-minute Zoom meeting with me personally. I would normally charge a minimum of $2,500 for this session, and I will do it at no charge for you. All you need to do is purchase 10 or more copies of the book. Prove it to me with a receipt, and we'll get it scheduled for you and your leadership team. Thank you for listening to my discussion today with Robert. I know I enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. And you've got some takeaways as far as how you could begin to explore the world of ChatGPT if you haven't already. And so please, if you want to get in touch with Robert, go out to digibuild.com, learn more about his company. He is on the cutting edge of technology and how it's impacting the construction industry for the good. Thanks again for joining us on Construction Genius. Give the show a rating or a review wherever you get your podcasts. And one last thing, if you like episodes like this, hit me up, eric@constructiongenius.com, and let me know, because I would love to do more stuff on ChatGPT and AI if that's something that you're interested in. So reach out to me. Let's drive the content of Construction Genius so it brings the most value to you and your company. That's what I'm all about, and let's keep the conversation going.